Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're here today with Scott from the architectural studio LAMA. So LAMA are one of the WikiHouse designers that we have listed on our website. They've also completed their own WikiHouse cabin project, which is called the Bide, a holiday let down in Dorset. We're really excited to be joined by Scott today, and let's see more about the Bide.
So thank you so much for joining us today, Scott. I'm very, very happy to have you here. I've got Amber with me here today, and we'll just have a chat. So first of all, can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, and where you are for international listeners?
Yeah, sure. So I'm based in Dorset now. So I'm an architect. I run a practice called LAMA with my colleague Carly. She's based in Bath. I'm based in Dorset. So we tend to cover the sort of southwest of England. Specializing really in working with generally people on their own homes, their own properties, either a new build house or residential extensions. But yeah, we've also got a little bit of experience in the kind of tiny house and the holiday rental sort of sector as well.
And could you tell us a bit more about the kind of architectural work that LAMA specialise in?
Sure. So I mean, with LAMA, our sort of typical project is generally working with someone on their dream home, really. So it's really about understanding what they're looking for from their house. Really, what we really like to do is quite early into a project, we love to just have a sit down, a cup of tea, and really talk about how people want to live and what they want to get out of their houses. So we've got a couple of new build houses, and a few sort of what we call sort of major reconfigurations and extensions, and they're quite interesting and quite tricky projects where you're really, some of them trying to unlock some potential in a house where something's gone wrong at some relevant time, where, you know, whether the front door's not really where it should be, or the staircase isn't where it was. So we've got a few projects like that, and they're very much more like a sort of puzzle.
So LAMA recently became a WikiHouse designer, and you're now listed on our website. It means you can help customers through the whole project journey and help them with their outline designs, details, any specifications as well. And as Amber mentioned at the beginning, a couple of years ago, you actually used WikiHouse to build a beautiful holiday cabin in Dorset called the Bide. Can you tell us how the idea came about and what the inspiration behind it was?
So the Bide is a holiday cabin that we built, and it's actually a tiny house. It's actually on a movable trailer. But the idea from it came a little bit before, about a year or so before lockdown. So me and Caroline, we had a little city trip to Berlin, and whilst we were there, we went to the Bauhaus archives, and they had they had a courtyard there, and I think it was an architecture student project, and they all got given these flatbed trailers, all identical trailers, probably about 6 or 7 of them, and they had all built tiny houses on them. And I think we really interested how, even with that same, really restricted trailer size, so everyone had come up with a very different design. And I think that was sort of saying that after we got back from Berlin the next year, we kept thinking about, actually, isn't that amazing what potential there is on a trailer? And we had a little think, well, how can we do that? And I think we thought, actually, we could do something that people could go in and stay, and we could maybe run a little business as a holiday retreat. And we felt that was perhaps a bit more special than designing it with us to live in, because we wanted it to be a bit more of an experience and maybe a bit more of an opportunity to play with the architecture and the interiors. So that was probably, let's say, we sort of sat on that for about a year whilst we lived in London at the time. And then, at the start of 2020, just before lockdown, we decided that let's give it a go. And we didn't really know where this holiday cabin was going to be located, other than that we knew we wanted to go back to Dorset, which is where I'm from. So we knew we wanted to locate it there, but we knew in the interim, because we didn't have a site, Caroline's parents kindly offered up their driveway in Lincolnshire. So we bought this flatbed trailer and took it from there, really. But quite early on, we decided we wanted to use the WikiHouse system for building it, because I think it really suited how hands-on we wanted to be with the project, actually.
And Scott, can you tell us a little bit more about where the Bide is located, what the setting is like, what does it feel like being there?
So so the Bide's located on Hewish Farm, which is in Dorset. The nearest village is Milton Abbas, but the cabin's got this amazing view down the valley of the rolling Dorset countryside. There's a lot of livestock on the farm, so there's geese, there's sheep, there's cows. So actually, when you walk from the car park to the cabins about 200 meters, you might quite often be greeted by a line of sheep just waiting to greet you. I think actually what we really love is when we hear a review when someone gets that kind of connection to nature that I don't think they normally have. We have a lot of people come down from London, and actually I think they really realise when they stay in the cabin what switching off means and what it means to relax. So I think we've had really lots of lovely reviews talking about actually how the simple things have made them really happy there, whether it's what they're eating, whether it's just looking up at, the skies are amazing at night there, or whether it's just about getting the hot tub up and running. So I think it's really nice that we've created a space where people really can relax. And it's really nice actually. We have a set of guests who have made it their annual thing to come after New Year's, that sort of break between New Year's Eve and going back to work, because they find, and they've done it 3 years running now, they find it the best space to relax and start thinking about the year to come. That's really nice that they do that. So we set out the idea that this cabin that we're designing was going to be a holiday retreat somewhere in rural Dorset, and I think we knew that we had to work within the constraints of what could be transported down the road network. So we went with this flatbed trailer, which is a tiny house trailer from a company in Holland. So really, when we started designing the cabin, we did quite a lot of market research. But really, what was important to us was creating a kind of space that had a real balance between everything you're going to need for your holiday, so you can kind of turn up without too much. But we also didn't want it to feel claustrophobic, and we wanted really to add as many sort of luxurious elements within the space as possible. So really, that was kind of about stripping elements back and thinking, right, what makes a nice trip. So part of that really, when you go on holiday is the bed. So from the start, we knew we wanted to have a Super King bed in this space, which obviously was a bit of a challenge given the size that we were dealing with. So we sort of, and we also decided it was quite important to us that there was a separate sleeping area from the lounge area. Lots of the cabins tend to double up on that type of space. So the kind of solution for us came in actually creating a mezzanine and getting the height of the cabin right. So we've got introduced a mezzanine level where the Super King size bed sits above the kind of other key utilities, which are the bathroom and the kitchen. And also we've got a little bit of plant covered underneath. So that sort of square of accommodation is everything you need for your eating, sleeping, washing. And that leaves the rest of the space, which is the sort of story and a half, to kind of be the sort of zone for relaxing, eating. And we've got that's how we sort of set it up really. And it took a lot of time working out what these dimensions were going to be. So we knew, because we didn't have a site in mind originally, we knew we're going to have to transport this down the road network, and we also knew it's very likely that whatever planning permission we would go for would need to comply with the Caravan Act in the UK. So that stipulated the width that we went for and the height, and the key thing in that Caravan Act was actually the internal floor to ceiling height, which needs to be no more than 3 meters. So in our cross section, like I showed you, the ground floor to the internal ceiling is set at 3 meters.
And as you say, Scott, making a scheme of this scale a homely but also not claustrophobic environment is the kind of the key design challenge, isn't it? Making it a usable space, but also making it feel luxurious and warm and welcoming as well. So I guess that's partly where this sort of interesting roof design, this sort of unusual, slightly abstract almost shape has come from. It's your way of maximizing the efficiency of that space, and it works so well. You can see how well it really creates that sense of space.
Yeah, no, you're right. The form has kind of come from that mezzanine, and the idea of getting the skylight up at one side. So we've got this obviously perfect box, and we've tapered it in two sections, I guess. One is to form the kind of roof accommodation with the skylight and the views up to the. We thought it'd be particularly we're going to be in the countryside, out to that sort of nighttime sky, starry skies, and then also at the front where we've tapered it, and that actually forms the kind of seating zone. So I think those were the key sort of two architectural moves we made to sort of taking this sort of box form. I think the other thing we thought in terms of the aesthetic is it was always going to be something, we knew it's going to be in a rural landscape, and it was always going to be something that we wanted to sort of sit sort of lightly on the landscape, as opposed to it being nestled in the landscape, because it is a temporary structure. And some of that also came about from the sort of external aesthetic. I think we decided it wanted to have some sort of relationship with other agricultural buildings, but also not be seen as another barn. Which is where we ended up with this corrugated cladding, but using it on the kind of 45-degree angle, which obviously relates back to these cuts that we've made in the section where we tapered the building.
Could you just explain for me, obviously as an architect you'll have worked with other primary framing systems in the past, but what was that design process like working with a WikiHouse frame?
So we decided we wanted to use the WikiHouse system, but we felt we really needed to get really understand if it was as easy and to put together as you guys say. And so what we actually did is actually broke the building down and decided to make a sort of module or a portal as a kind of test piece. So we actually did that to full scale, so that if the system worked as anticipated, we could actually use that prototype as one of our first sort of modules. So we did that. We built a kind of 1.2 meter module, and it was great. It worked really, really well. We combined that with sheep's wool insulation. We wanted to use as many natural products as possible. The only hiccup that we couldn't have anticipated was that the CNC provider that we were using actually shut down as a result of COVID. But I think that also showed some of the strengths of WikiHouse, so that we're able to go to another CNC provider and get exactly the same product.
That's really fantastic. Yeah. So if I was going to say our sort of WikiHouse side to that is that we operate a distributed manufacturing model, which means that we have a network of CNC manufacturers across the UK, which exactly as you say, Scott, allows you to draw down on hopefully the nearest or most cost-effective manufacturer available to you. And it's really lovely to actually, although it's unfortunate that individual did have to shut down during COVID, it's really nice that, unlike the sort of traditional approach to modular manufacturing, it didn't leave you in cold water or hot water. So so that's really nice to hear that actually, that it didn't sort of jeopardize the project. You were able to continue and find somebody else to support that manufacturing stage. So you decided to build this project yourself. I'd love to hear more about what that construction process was like, Scott.
So as you can kind of see, we actually had to build this on the driveway. Which wasn't ideal, mainly because of the weather. We had to cover it up every time. But in terms of the general construction process, we were using this sort of open portal system that was part of WikiHouse, and then we actually sort of extended that to include our sort of mezzanine area and our some of our internal partition walls as well. So we sort of started from the back of the cabin, getting the mezzanine in. So that gave us a little bit of a zone for working at those slightly higher heights. But in terms of insulating the frame, we actually used two different systems of insulation. It was important we use something natural. So in the walls, we actually used sheep's wool insulation, which was really, really great. Really, really liked installing that. For the floor and the roof, we actually went with a recycled thermofloc. We went with a recycled newspaper system, which is comes in large bundles, and you have to mix it. Essentially, you would mix it to sort of fluff it, and then that's more the product that you can pour. So that's why you have to use it on horizontal planes. So that's why we use that on the floor and the roof. And we primarily use that because it was a bit more cost effective than the sheep's wool, but certainly wasn't as good as nicer product to work with.
And how about the WikiHouse frame assembly? Did you find that straightforward?
Yeah, so I think we found the frame assembly part went really smoothly actually, and that was really nice. How much it was really exciting how much volume you're adding day by day. And lockdown, it was that time when people were only allowed to go for a walk as a bit of exercise. We get lots of people asking us, what are you doing? What is that? How, I haven't seen people build in that sort of way before. So that was really interesting. And with sort of same people then, on their regular walks would come and see how we're getting on. So yeah, I think we found, really exciting putting that frame together actually.
What I find generally, particularly with WikiHouse, is that people can look at it and understand it, and it kind of instills this sense of kind of like, energy, excitement, empowerment in people, where they just want to get their hands on it and they just want to build with it. And I do get that sense from seeing you in that kind of build process, of that energy and excitement of being able to kind of, have it there and be able to kind of, get physically involved in the assembly of the frame is a really exciting thing and an interesting opportunity. Obviously, it does come with some challenges, but yeah, it's nice to see that process, I think, happening.
I think the thing to add in there actually is I think lots of people who saw the construction all assumed it was a kind of prefabricated unit that we'd sort of chosen online, and actually it's completely bespoke to us and our requirements. So I think the nature of how it presents itself certainly looks predetermined, I guess, in terms of the junctions, etc. But I think that just shows the sort of strength of the system, really, that you can do what you want with it.
That's really lovely. WikiHouse utilises digital manufacturing through a network of CNC workshops across the country. Coming from an architectural background, how did you find that manufacturing process?
Yeah, I think when we were sort of using the sort of digital manufacturing process of WikiHouse, it got us thinking about how other processes we can use in terms of the interiors of the space and utilising the space, and really that led us to actually integrate a fair few bits of furniture using CNC fabrication. So we've got a floor-to-ceiling bookcase, which is a bookcase that's got adds a bit of colour to the interior palette, but also they're all books that guests can buy, and they're all got references to Dorset or to the coast. So we've integrated the bookcase, we've integrated a wardrobe, and then actually the main sofa underneath the big picture window, we've integrated a cupboard below that's got sliding doors, but also integrates the background electric heating. So that was really nice to, again, part of the story, utilize the space and make it as efficient as possible, but also as seamless and integrated as part of the interior architecture.
One of the strengths of the WikiHouse system is its bio-based materiality and zero carbon credentials. I'd be interested to hear more about your ambitions around sustainability and performance aims on this project.
We were really big part of this as well was really think about the kind of environmental credentials of this cabin, and part of that came down to really two parts. One, what is it made of? Trying to use natural materials where possible. And then secondly, it was about how to create a cabin where the energy demands are really low. So we really tried to tackle both of those two things. So in terms of the material side and I guess the embodied carbon, it was important that we had used natural products where possible, so that the walls get really well insulated walls. And we also wanted to make this project to use some of the principles from Passive House. So my colleague Carly is a certified Passive House designer, and whilst we didn't actually apply the full certification on the project, which in hindsight I think we would like to have done, did try and use some of the key principles, and really the key principle there was the airtightness. So we spent a lot of money and a lot of time on the airtightness, using a lot of airtightness tapes and membranes to really try and get that envelope as airtight as possible. And then the key consideration with that is also then how do you get your fresh air? So we actually found this, so you have to have some form of mechanical heat recovery to do that. But mechanical heat recovery you'd normally associate with quite a big house or larger commercial building. So we actually found a product called Lunos, who do a decentralized mechanical heat recovery system, which kind of works. You end up with two. They kind of look a bit like a sort of regular bathroom fan, really, that sort of size, but they work together. There's a pair of them, and they have a ceramic heat exchanger in the middle. So we located one at one end of the Bide, one at the other, and then the way they work is that one of them will expel the stale warm air for 2 minutes, whilst the other one is bringing in fresh air. And then after 2 minutes, they switch their fan directions, so that the heat exchanger has been preheated from the stale warm air is then bringing in the cold fresh air and heating it up. So that was kind of the key challenge that we had to sort of overcome, how to get that kind of low energy building. So we've kind of got that from the sort of its energy use, but we've also decided quite early that we wanted it to be a fully electric building. We had thought about going off grid, and we did engage an electrical engineer to do some calculations to work out whether it would be possible. And in the end, we had to actually decide that it would be better for this to be an on-grid building and have it but purely electric. A lot of the off-grid buildings we found tend to rely on gas, which we felt wasn't the way we wanted to go.
You've put a lot of care and attention into the specification of the build, and as you say, ensuring it's warm and well wrapped, so you get those operational performance targets. And I'd like to know, like, how do guests feel in the space?
So yeah, we opened in the autumn of 2022, I believe, and yeah, we've had really, really good reviews, really, really high occupancy rate. I think people really quite often comment on the attention to detail, and they love had really good reviews. So we tend to find that people seem to really enjoy whatever season they've come in. If they've come in the summer, they're obviously really enjoying this kind of slightly more outdoors activities, being on the decking, the hot tub, the wood-fired pizza oven. But actually in the winter, people really enjoy how cozy it is, how warm it is. And we kind of got we've got a projector screen that you can pin up. So we intentionally didn't want to have a TV in the space. I thought that wanted to get away from that flicking TV, get channel hopping, and actually thought with a projector it's more of an active decision that you're going to watch a film. So it is something you have to pin up, but we can make most of the sliding ladder for that. So yeah, we tend to find people seem to really, really enjoy the winter stays in particular, which is really great. And actually, it kind of, I think, feeds into a bit more of our ethos about the overall environmental picture. We didn't want to build something that was bigger than it needed to be. It was always going to be designed with couples in mind. So it was always that 2-3 night stay. And that sort of set the size and the footprint for it, really. And then we're thinking, well, also in terms of sort of it's being environmentally conscious, it's also making sure that whatever we're building is being really highly utilized. So that's why it was really important that the space worked in the coldest winter months as well, in terms of the thermal efficiency.
So let's fast forward to present day. What impact has the Bide had on LAMA as a practice? Do you have ambitions to create something like this again?
Sure. Well, I mean, also, we are a relatively young practice, so it is, it is being a really important project to us, but it's one that we can really showcase lots of different things that are really relevant at lots of different scales. So it's been great talking through with clients actually the importance of utilization of space, not building necessarily more than they think, but also thinking about those sort of environmental parameters. Also the digital fabrication, not just of building shells, but actually I think for us, we're working on large scale projects, how we can use that as part of the joinery packages, built-in furniture. We've got a project where we're looking to do built-in library that was sort of on the balustrade and a feature piece in the house, and we're talking about doing that as a digitally fabricated piece. So that's really the WikiHouse system using that have really helped us actually hone those sort of digital fabrication skills. We're talking to a few people actually about doing holiday cabins for them in different parts of not only this country, but also one in America. So that's really, really exciting.
What advice would you give to anyone looking to create a space using WikiHouse in the future?
So yeah, I think I'd encourage anyone to get in touch that's got projects at any scale really. I think there's lots that we've learned on the Bide that we are now applying to our houses. And I think really, I think hopefully it shows the importance of actually working in 3D from the start, doing that kind of design iteration, really understanding what people need from the space. And I think the problem we find is some people they really do want and really understanding what is really important to them, what's going to make the space a success on a day-to-day space. So yeah, we really encourage people I don't think you can engage an architect soon enough on a project really, even though it's just an idea. We're actually offering half-day workshops, so people want to just have a Teams call for half a day. That's something we're now offering. People can find out more about on our website, and maybe that's a good way to start people are thinking about going down this journey, and then maybe a workshop's a good way to go.
And just before we go, can you remind us, how do people find you?
So yeah, so we're LAMA Studios. We're lamastudio.co.uk, llama_ltd on Instagram, or the Bide is thebide.com, and on Instagram we're Bide Cabin.
That's wonderful. Thank you.